Have you ever pondered over the widespread effects of the Great Economic Depression, particularly on a country like India? The Great Economic Depression, a global economic downturn that began in 1929, was a period of severe economic contraction and unprecedented financial chaos. It was a time when the world's economic heart missed a beat, and the ripples of this financial catastrophe were felt far and wide. Now, let's take a moment to set our geographical compass to India, a nation on the other side of the globe, thousands of miles away from where the Depression originated in the United States. Back in the 1930s, India was still under the British colonial rule. Naturally, one might assume that the impacts of the Depression would be somewhat diluted by the time they reached the Indian shores. But as we'll soon uncover, this was far from the truth. During this period, India was primarily an agrarian economy, with agriculture contributing to a significant portion of the GDP. However, the industrial sector was also beginning to take shape, slowly but steadily. The Depression, with its far-reaching effects, impacted both these sectors, albeit in different ways. In the agricultural sector, the prices of commodities plummeted dramatically. This was a double-edged sword. On one side, it led to a reduction in the income of farmers, pushing them further into the depths of poverty. On the other side, it made food more affordable for the masses. The industrial sector, however, tells a different story. Initially, industries were hit hard as the demand for goods dropped sharply, but as time went on, some industries began to see a silver lining. The collapse of international trade barriers provided an unexpected opportunity for domestic industries to flourish. In essence, the Great Economic Depression served as a catalyst, accelerating India's journey towards self-reliance, particularly in the industrial sector, while simultaneously exposing the vulnerabilities of its agricultural sector. India, being a British colony during the Depression, was not spared the economic devastation. Let's delve deeper into how it affected India's agriculture and industry. Agriculture, the backbone of India, was hit hard by the Great Economic Depression. The impact of the Depression was not confined to the boundaries of the Western world. It rippled across the oceans, reaching the far corners of the British Empire, including the Indian subcontinent. The Indian agricultural sector, already burdened by colonial exploitation and unfavorable weather conditions, faced a new challenge. With the onset of the Depression, prices of agricultural goods began to plummet. From the fertile plains of the Punjab to the lush green fields of Bengal, the produce that once commanded high prices was suddenly worth less than the cost of production. Cotton, jute, and wheat, staples of the Indian agricultural economy, were sold at a pittance. The farmers, who had borrowed money to buy seeds and tools in the hope of a profitable harvest, found themselves shackled by increasing debts. The money they earned from the sale of their produce was not enough to repay the loans, let alone support their families. The rural distress was not just an economic crisis, it was a human tragedy. Farmers, who were once proud custodians of the land, were reduced to penury. The others, who held on to their land, were trapped in a cycle of debt and poverty. The dreams of prosperity were replaced by the harsh reality of survival. The Depression years also saw a surge in rural unemployment. With the fall in demand for agricultural goods, many farmers were forced to lay off workers. The countryside, once buzzing with activity, was now a landscape of desolation and despair. But the Indian farmers were not ones to be defeated. Despite the hardships, they continued to till the land, hoping for a better tomorrow. The Depression years intensified the distress of the Indian farmers, setting the stage for a wave of protests and agitations. These agitations, fueled by the economic crisis, would eventually play a crucial role in India's struggle for independence. While the agriculture sector was crumbling, the Indian industry was amidst a transformation. The Great Economic Depression that swept across the globe during the 1930s had a profound impact on the Indian industry. But unlike the agriculture sector, the industry didn't merely suffer. Instead, it found itself on a path of unprecedented growth and transformation. When the Depression hit, the world economy collapsed and international trade took a serious blow. Britain, the colonial power ruling India at the time, was no exception. British industries were struggling, and as a result, imports to India significantly decreased. This sudden drop in imports left a vacuum in the Indian market. Now picture this, a market seeking goods and no foreign competition. This was a golden opportunity for the Indian industry. Indian manufacturers saw a chance to fill this vacuum and started producing goods that were previously imported from Britain. Cotton mills, iron and steel plants, and other industries began to flourish. There was a surge in industrial production and a significant increase in the employment rate. Moreover, this period marked the beginning of indigenous industrial entrepreneurship in India. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The Indian industry was still in its infancy, grappling with issues like outdated machinery, lack of skilled labor, and inadequate infrastructure. Yet despite these challenges, the industry managed to hold its ground and continued to grow. The Depression was a dark cloud with a silver lining for the Indian industry. It acted as a catalyst, accelerating the growth of the industry and paving the way for self-reliance. The seeds of an industrial revolution were sown during this period, which would bear fruit in the years to come. The Depression indirectly sparked the growth of the Indian industry, sowing seeds for an industrial revolution. The harsh realities of the Depression inadvertently gave rise to a new dawn for Indian industry, a dawn that promised progress and prosperity. The economic depression had far-reaching socio-political implications for India. In the midst of economic turmoil, the socio-political landscape of India underwent a significant transformation. The widespread distress caused by the Depression acted as a catalyst, stirring up nationalist sentiments among the masses. A sense of unity was fostered as people from all walks of life, be it the farmer in the field or the industrial worker in the city, felt the pinch of the economic downturn. This unity manifested itself in the strengthening of the Indian National Congress, a party that was instrumental in India's fight for independence. The Congress emerged as a beacon of hope for those affected by the Depression. Its promise of Swaraj, or self-rule, resonated with the masses who were disillusioned with the British administration's handling of the crisis. In the political arena, the Congress gained considerable influence. The party's leadership was filled with intellectuals and visionaries like Jawaharlal Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi. These leaders used the economic crisis as an opportunity to question the British rule and its policies. They argued that the Depression was a direct consequence of the exploitative colonial policies and that self-rule was the only way out of the economic morass. With the rise of the Congress, the British Raj found itself on the back foot. The party's growing influence was evident in the provincial elections of the mid-30s, where it won a substantial number of seats. This electoral victory was a testament to the people's faith in the Congress and its vision for a free and prosperous India. In the wider socio-political context, the Depression helped shape the discourse around self-rule and economic autonomy. It highlighted the need for India to break free from the shackles of colonial rule and chart its own course. The Depression also underscored the importance of self-reliance, a concept that would later become a cornerstone of India's economic and political policies. The Depression played a significant role in shaping India's political future, inadvertently fueling the fire of independence. The Great Economic Depression left an indelible mark on India, transforming its agricultural and industrial landscape. The Depression had a profound effect on India, a country that was then under British colonial rule. The most significant impact was felt in the agricultural sector, the backbone of India's economy. The period saw a drastic fall in crop prices, and the inability to export goods caused severe hardships for farmers. The exchange rate fluctuations added to the farmers' woes, making the situation even more precarious. The industrial sector, on the other hand, was a rising star, navigating through the turbulent times. While initially the industries faced a slump due to the depression, the situation gradually changed. The protective policies introduced by the colonial rulers in response to the depression inadvertently boosted India's industrial sector. These policies encouraged domestic industries and led to the growth of indigenous enterprises, particularly in the textile and steel industries. The socio-political impact of the Great Depression was also immense. The economic hardship led to widespread discontent among the masses, which eventually fueled the freedom movement. The economic policies of the British, which were seen as favoring the colonial power at the expense of the Indian populace, were met with severe criticism. This period saw an upsurge in nationalist sentiments and played a crucial role in shaping India's struggle for independence. While the Depression was a period of economic hardship, it inadvertently paved the way for India's future growth and independence. The lessons learned from the Depression shaped India's economic policies post-independence, with an emphasis on self-reliance and the development of the agricultural and industrial sectors. Today, agriculture continues to be a vital part of India's economy, while the industrial sector has grown leaps and bounds, making India one of the world's leading economies. While the Great Depression was undoubtedly a dark period in history, it is a testament to India's resilience and adaptability. While the Depression was a period of economic hardship, it inadvertently paved the way for India's future growth and independence.